Greetings and salutations, everybody. Tommy here from sunny California. Look at that blue sky behind me. I'm sitting outside actually on my patio today and enjoying the nice weather. We're having about 70 degrees today and lots of miles and point stuff to talk about this week. Wearing also my 787 hat today that I got as a gift from Skip Thompson and the crew at Boeing. When we were up there, in 2010, looking at the 787. So we're going to also cover a little bit of that. We're going to start off chatting a little bit about miles and points first before we get to that. And I'm going to add, we've got pizza coming in. He's taking a nap there in his car. Is that your pickup truck?
Pickup truck. It is the pickup truck.
Is it?
It's the pickup truck, man.
I want to see it. You got to go outside and show me the stuff. I got to see the bed and all that kind of stuff because we haven't seen it. Nobody. I mean, we saw a nice picture of it when you were up in Maine, but boy, is everything okay over there? I saw the piece today. I thought you might have done something galactically stupid since you brown nosed your wife so much today. What did you do, man? We got to know.
I didn't do anything. Being married to Melinda, that our wives put up with a tremendous amount as road warriors, and on top of that, they're also the ones that keep us from failing. And gosh, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would have ended up somewhere without the things I needed if it wasn't for Michelle. And then she's the vast majority of the reason that we have two wonderful kids that aren't completely messed up because I'm gone all the time.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even think of that. You being out of the house. That's no wonder they're normal and great. That's fantastic. No, it was a great piece. I really enjoyed it. It was with all the interesting stuff we're seeing these days. It was a good piece, a good feel good piece. And you're absolutely right. I think that it's safe to say that our wives, they make us quite many times better than we really are because of who they are. That's for damn sure. So, and yeah, check it out at pizzaatmotion.com if you haven't read that article. It was a good feel good piece. Finally, a little bit of credit, which is definitely due for sure. What do you do? So you staying home this week?
Good question. I don't know, but we're about to be joined by my daughter. She's hopping in the truck. We're doing the parent thing while I'm home. So
cool. Good time.
Yeah. So yeah, we were going to be up at Hershey Park tomorrow, but it's supposed to rain. We're sort of in like monsoon season up here. We don't have 70 degrees like you do. We're going to be like a high of 60 and rainy tomorrow.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you're probably getting that wave that went through here earlier this week. I drove home from San Jose on Sunday, and boy, I don't think I've ever seen that. I said to Melinda, I mean, I've driven in Norway in the snow. The weather we got going home was pretty bad, like underpasses of highways. You got to stop down to like 5 miles an hour to go through the puddles. So it was pretty bad. So yeah, let's chat a little bit about American Airlines and the changes to their programs. So I've read a little bit about it. I don't know how much time you've had this week to read.
It's been a quiet week in the miles and points world. Not a whole lot going on this week.
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of I've had some time to poke around in the MS group, so manufacturer spend group, and also in some of the blogs that are out there. Boy, there's some rejoice going on there, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I think the thing to keep in mind though is there's some stuff we don't know yet on the American Airlines changes, but the high level stuff is you can now spend your way to top tier executive platinum status as long as you can put $200,000 on one of their credit cards. Mm-hmm. But, and a very big but, especially for people like you and I who, when we go places, we like to lay down flat and sleep on those long flights. So what they've done is they've said that sort of like Hyatt, where you've got status and then you got milestone rewards that are sort of decoupled from the status itself. With American, you have that $200,000 spend, which gets you executive platinum status. But I'm going to tell you, we talked about this on my podcast, which is dropping next week. There's 3 things that I used to rely on executive platinum status for. three most important things for me: free changes, complimentary upgrades, system-wide upgrades.
Right.
Let's go through where we stand today. Everybody gets free changes, so it's no longer a benefit. Everybody gets it. Complimentary upgrades. Well, I mean, the airlines are doing a lot better job just selling all of that, so there are a lot less complimentary upgrades. The third leg there are the system-wide upgrades, which are a huge deal of being executive platinum. However, with the American changes, what they've said is system-wide upgrades are one of the things that are going to be part of what they call choice benefits or choice rewards. So to get access to those, not only do you need to spend $200,000 on a credit card if you go that path, but you're going to need to have at least 30 flight segments.
Right. And so, how many do you get at 30? How many system-wise? Is it a 4 or 6?
They haven't told us yet. It's not official.
They haven't told us. Okay, that's interesting.
Well, at least I haven't seen any releases. They said that they're going to be releasing more information on what the benefits will be at each level, because there are different levels, obviously, and they have levels all the way up to, like, I think $750,000 LT points. So in theory, those will be extra thresholds with probably more system-wise, but we don't really know yet. And 30 segments, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, unless you're connecting on every flight, 30 segments that's not a casual traveler.
No, not you have to make some effort, not for you and me, but for regular people, and for those you also have to survive 30 flights on American. That should be a lifetime achievement award right there.
Well, and I'd say, like you say, it's not a big challenge for you and I, but use me as an example. My home airport is Dulles. Right. American does not fly there from Chicago O'Hare. So if I want to get anywhere in the Midwest,
a lot of their stuff to DCA, right?
Right. So if I want to get to the middle of the country, I have to connect in Charlotte or Dallas. And newsflash, neither of those places is in the Midwest. So if I need to go to Peoria or Indianapolis or any of those places, I'm either driving more than an hour out of my way. As a traveler, I just won't do it.
No, I agree with you. And you know how I feel about that, personally. I mean, I had to have a big debate with myself if I was going to. So I became a free agent when I moved out here. Neither United or American makes sense to me in Sacramento. It's 58% market, 56 or 58% market share with Southwest. And my travel that I do, if it's more than X amount, Delta charges between $99 and $199 to be in first for the entire. I mean, I flew to Boston, DC, New York, and I just paid for the upgrade. And I've never paid more than a couple $100. And also, in general, you can find first fares from here round trip for $600. And it's just not worth having that battle with anybody. And having that, it takes the guessing out of the whole gig. So for me, either one makes sense. I had to have a debate about myself if I wanted to keep executive platinum, because for this year it was just I didn't have an American Airlines credit card anymore. Melinda has one, but she doesn't use it anymore because we had it so when we redeemed we could get points back, right? But I decided ultimately, before I knew any of this, that and it's not going to matter to me anyways. I signed up for that card. The platinum one that gave 60,000 miles after spending, I think, nothing, and the first year free. So I did sign up for that to keep and put an event on it. I put the Loyalty Summit in London, the event on it, and that was it. And the card goes straight back in the drawer. I'm not going to use it anymore because those miles are not appealing to me that much. And also, it's just the earning rates. It's just terrible for everything American does on credit cards. So that's obviously another thing, is like, if you're going to do MSing or if you're going to do anything, you're going to put money on these cards. You're looking at, American Express, the golden triangle for me is American Express Platinum and American Express Gold and a Sapphire. And it's just, I'm cleaning out of all the money that I'm spending on these cards. Why would I put it on a card that earns 1 mile per dollar spent on pretty much everything, right? And then American miles also. I mean, it's not very flexible. What do you think?
If you're not going to put it on that card, maybe you could put it on one of those Marriott credit cards. Those are probably a good deal right now.
Yeah, they've had a couple of good sign-up bonuses now. They're going to need that. But you're not going for EP, are you?
So here's what I think is going to happen. I'm a little bit crazy. I currently have United 1K and Delta Diamond
Hmm.
because of credit card spend and accelerated MQMs. I was able to get Delta Diamond for next year. So because I'm a little bit crazy in the head, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make an executive platinum run in 22, with
Okay.
the goal being to have all three top tier statuses in that year and do probably 10 or 15 make sense. I'll take all the nonstops I can. I'll do
Hmm.
connectings, wherever, and I'll give an honest comparison of what I think is a road warrior with, call it 10 to 15 trips on each of those three airlines, and like here's how I got treated as a top tier elite member on each of these three airlines.
Right. I mean, it's going to be tough from you where you are,
Mm-hmm.
unless you want. I mean, for American, I mean, you gotta,
Yeah.
nobody has, Dallas. Maybe once in a while there's business there, but
Yeah. No.
Charlotte is, I don't know.
Well, the
Yeah, you
the
really
only
think it's
the
going to be worth? Oh, so what? So you're going to do it in January and February when there's double up or whatever? What
I
happens in
don't think,
January and February?
I don't think I'll get that many trips in place. You do have the opportunity to double up, but you've also got to have some credit cards in your wallet already to really take advantage, or you have to apply for them now. This is going to be one of the first. So they're running this March to February as sort of the use year or the earn
Right.
year going forward. And so this first qualify, you've got January and February added on. So you actually have 14 months instead of 12 to qualify. And then they've got some bonuses and accelerators that they'll have early on. I also think, based on some rumors I've been hearing from some folks that are pretty credible, that we're going to see a couple of other things sort of fold into the channel here for opportunities to earn points.
Right.
So I think it's not just credit card spend. And quite frankly, I I downgraded my City AA executive card because I
Hmm.
just wasn't using the lounges. So
Right.
I'm less of a like sign up bonus guy. I usually sign up cards and keep them in my wallet. So I would consider upgrading that card again, but I'm not sure because I mean you're talking it's 450 I think is annual fee right now.
Yeah, 450 for that one. I mean, if you're not going to be using the lounges, so what do you get? Do you get 10,000 of these funny money points or whatever they're called? Is that what you get for that one? I thought they made some changes to that, but I think that they're stay. I saw Gary write about that yesterday, a couple of days ago. Let me see what he said. I think that somebody mentioned though that that you were getting. Uh, they haven't really said how much that card is going to earn a year
Right.
for having the card.
Right, they have, and there's also there's some other stuff that's great. So right now those cards have the personal versions, not the business versions. The personal
Right,
versions have thresholds that you can earn at now to earn EQMs. So
right,
instead of EQMs, you'll earn loyalty points. Those thresholds, and those thresholds are still in place for this year. We
right.
believe they won't be in place for next year. So if
Yeah.
you do have the personal version,
So it's 10,000 EQMs you get now is the maximum, but they're saying that it'll be 10,000 loyalty points, then you drop 5%. You don't go from having 10% of the job taken care of to because it's 200,000 for EP, right?
it is 200,000 loyalty points.
Right. So if it's 10,000, I would predict that they would for a car that costs so much money that they'd go up to 20,000 on
I
that.
would
Don't
think
you
so.
think? Yeah,
I would think
I
so,
think that
especially when you
makes sense.
consider, yeah, I mean, United's well behind on this one, but Delta's way ahead in that.
Right.
If you take Delta's top card this year and you spend 120,000 on it, you get
Hmm.
just shy of 60,000 MQMs. It's
Right.
18,750 no, sorry, just shy of 80 because
Right.
18,750 times 4. So
Right.
that's like 76,000 MQMs
Right.
for
They've been really
120,000
aggressive
spent.
on that,
Yeah.
and you get some benefits with those cards they're
Yeah.
actually usable. So and
For sure.
United, like you said, they came out with that middle tier card, which kind of didn't do much for anybody. It was kind of fell
Yeah.
between two chairs, if you ask me. It was just not. There was no value for either one. It kind of fell into. I just did. Um, I feel like that wasn't worth it. So yeah, but at least there are some of the United cards that has some decent earning on some categories. Yeah, I see Marshall is here, so maybe we should just Marshall, you want to come in early? You want to take part of this shindig here?
What do you do if he says no to you?
There he
Hey,
is.
I could
Oh,
give it
looks
a
like we got
try.
the same shitty weather as you have, Ed.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where to look at on my iPad, to be honest.
Oh,
with
your
you, but
iPad. Oh, fine.
Yeah,
So you're one of the cool kids now. You got yourself an iPad.
yeah. I've got the phone mounted just correctly behind it to make the angle just right.
Remember the first iPad I ever got? You remember that, Ed, when I got that?
Oh God, that was what, like 2012?
I think it was before then because we were at the Chicago seminars together. I think it was like 2010. I think it was.
Oh wow, that would have.
You were sitting there with your
That
iPad,
could
and I
have.
was so
Maybe that was
jealous.
2011. That was a
And
long time ago. I had more
I
hair.
know, I remember. I was so
Right.
jealous of you having that first iPad that when we were done, I got, Melinda and I got in the car. We went straight to the Apple store.
That was an
Literally cost me
excellent
whatever
time
it
to be
cost back
alive.
then. Yeah.
Those were
So,
good
what do you make of
times.
this American thing? I mean, Marshall, what do you think so far? Did you hear any of our BS earlier, or?
You know, I dialed in late, so I'll apologize now if I'm repeating anything that's already been said. You're the second person today that's asked me about this, and I'll tell you what I
Who's the
told
other
them. I'd rather not say.
Okay.
I'll say this for it. It recognizes that there is more to revenue than sitting in an airplane seat. And it is something different. It's a little different than what's been done before. Whether it works out eventually, whether anybody copies, I don't know yet. I don't have a gut feeling for it.
Do we think it's going to copy, though? Because I kind of don't think so. I think that I highly doubt it.
Honestly, I don't think so either.
Ed,
I'll
what do
just
you
say,
think? Do you
I'll
think
be
there's going to be a
surprised
copy of
if it
this?
does.
Do I think what's going to be a copy?
Do you think American, United and Delta are going to follow this thing?
No, I don't. I think first and foremost, I think Delta really likes their path, and I think my guess is that they're gonna have MQM acceleration again next year, bonus MQMs for spend.
Right.
I think United will make. I think United's going to have to come off of this stance where you can't earn a lot of status acceleration with credit cards. I don't think they're going to have a choice. But my gut tells me that just because of who Scott Kirby is and all that stuff, if we haven't seen it yet, it's likely something that he's holding over Chase's head from a negotiation standpoint. And I know that he recently had a renegotiation. Our friend Gary noted that part of how they were able to renegotiate their contract had to do with how they were lined up with the Chase Ultimate Rewards platform. So wouldn't surprise me if this is a leverage point for United. But quite frankly, I mean, as it stands today, when you look at American Express, Citi, Barclays, Chase is now at a significant disadvantage in how far their credit cards can buy you to elite status. And I expect Kirby to use every bit of leverage that he can to change that.
Yeah, I think that so United kind of went with what they did. It's not actually the complete same, right? But they kind of have gone halfway with other stuff with how they do things with the PQP stuff, right? So that was kind of halfway, and they're playing games with that rather than doing it with EQMs and stuff like that. And that's kind of I mean, with spend, you spend on your card, but you get segments. Actually, is the accelerator that I have. I get one flight for each $4,000 I spend. Which is kind of interesting that they want you. The segments are kind of the problem that they're seeing. Versus the spend or qualification through that, which I find kind of interesting. That not really. It makes sense that a lot of people are not flying and they need to get to where they need to get to, and so if I spend $4,000, I get a segment, right? Which is my renewal path was, and I am. working I think I'm, I'm within reach of 1K, which is the first time forever that's ever happened, or
Yeah.
since 2016. So
They've been super, super, super generous. I don't think I'm anywhere close to $10,000 in airfare on United this year because I essentially didn't fly until June, and we're in
right.
October. And I think I know I have over 20,000 PQPs. It's something like 22 or 23,000. Like, I'm so far over the qualification level, it isn't funny right now. I think, when you talk about, like, as Marshall said, like whether we see copies or not, I think first off, they flooded the market. There was this big inflation after they made it really hard to earn status with how many dollars you had to spend. Then they flooded the market. They're going to give all these people status, and then they sort of got to figure out who travels. And then they'll figure out, like, you and I both have 1K. If you spend $1,000 and I spend $10,000, then they'll have to find a way to calibrate that and reward me and not reward you, so that they're left with the right people. So I think there's a shuffle that will happen probably in early 23 once they sort of figure out which business travelers come back. But right now they're just like everybody got a free hit on the bong, if you will, and they're just trying to figure out what comes next.
Yeah, no kidding. Marshall, so do you have you don't have any American Airlines status, do you?
Lifetime gold.
Lifetime goal. Okay, so that's par for the course for the majority of us.
Me too. Think how valuable that is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you have lifetime platinum, Ed, because you flew
that's
them
right.
a lot.
Lifetime platinum, which is worth exactly the same amount as lifetime gold.
Just to be
come
clear,
on. You can do lounges at when you fly with BA and others when you're overseas. It's not so bad.
Hey, I cleared an upgrade this summer.
That one upgrade, huh?
I did. Both the wife and I.
I have yet to get a complimentary upgrade as a lifetime platinum. Full stop.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have, I'm lifetime platinum with United, and I will say that's actually has proven to be pretty valuable for me.
I would think so.
In many markets, I get like 50%. I would say I get it of upgrades. Or the ones that I don't care about, of course, I get those. I mean, flying from here to Denver, from Necromento, like Ed calls it, to Denver, is a pretty elite light route. I think that a lot of these California government guys, I think California has an agreement with Southwest, and because I've seen a lot of politicians. I actually saw the former governor, what's his name? Jerry Brown. Was that his name? Am I right on that? He was on a Southwest flight. He was on the business select lane. So they've spent some big bucks on that. But I found it kind of interesting to seeing him on the plane and everybody recognizing him. So I think that the government guys kind of don't fly the other guys, because the upgrades from here, the first leg segment is easy. The second segment is always the tough one. And of course, there are some non-stops that are a little bit tougher for Chicago or whatever. But it seems like the secondary markets where I do fly United, it seems to be through Denver, and that seems to be easy. So I think that said, with platinum with American, no, I don't think that's difficult. But you too, Ed. You mean being up at Dulles? I mean, how many flights a day do they have up there? Can't be many.
American?
Yeah.
No, they've really, really trimmed the schedule down. I mean, if you think back to the day, they had a base in San Juan, and there were, I think, 2 or 3 nonstops Dulles to San Juan a day. We don't have any Chicago service. We've got, I don't know if the second LA flight came back yet. We've got a handful of Dallas. We've got a handful of Charlotte.
I thought they moved all LA down to Dulles. No, to Reagan.
No, they still had a one a day. They had one a day Dulles LAX.
Right. Because they've cut back. LA is like a shadow of its former self now. I mean, they don't have any overseas flights, and it doesn't look like any of them are coming back other than Haneda. Seems like the only one in London.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely true. There's been talk for a while. I don't know if it'll ever come true, about whether American would take over one of British Airways' Dulles to London frequencies, but they do. American does provide some feed for BA at Dulles, which is part of what I think makes LA flights work. They got as I recall, you've got a couple of Dallas flights to come in. You got the Charlotte stuff, and so they provide some feed to BA because BA at its peak before the pandemic had 2 flights and usually on pretty sizable wide bodies to London each night out of Dulles.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm
All
old
right.
enough to remember a Qantas sign hanging on the wall at Dulles as well, at the American gates,
Okay.
back in the day.
Did they have a stop in LA or?
They used, there was the code share, or I don't know. It may have had a different name at the time, but American used to send a lot of Qantas passengers to LA. Of course, hadn't been sending anybody in the pandemic, of course.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I agree. They used to send a bunch of people to the nighttime Qantas flights.
Yep.
So let's talk. Let's switch gears here and get over to the hotel part of the thing. Another wildly unpopular company these days seems to be Marriott, and it seems they're not doing. They sent that email out and they was, oh, we're extending the status, we're doing this and that, we're doing this and that, and then, oh, by the way, we're going revenue based all the way at the bottom. What can we expect is going to happen when they have done with their friendly transition in 2022, when that's over and we roll into 2023? What can we expect here?
Well, I think you got to remember there's 2 separate things here. For the folks like us who really love the exceptional high-end properties, we don't have to wait until the end of 22 to figure out what gets bad. In March of 22, 3% of all Marriott properties, or about 200 hotels, will be. Exactly. We can probably list the 200. They'll be in Bora Bora, the Maldives, London, Paris, the Hotel Daniele in Venice. Like we could probably write the list. The Chatwall in New York. All those properties will be unchained from the award chart just 4 or 5 months from now. So the rest of them will come unchained at the end of 22. And I think where it gets tough, I think, when you think about how integral credit cards are to the marketplace. I had this discussion on the podcast today. I had 3 guests on. I had Julian Gill, Richard Kerr, and Summerhall, and I asked all 3 because they all have Marriott cards. And the general gist of it was Summer was the only one who was like, maybe I'll keep a Marriott card in my wallet. But collectively, between the 4 of us, it was like we were going to be canceling about 9 Marriott credit cards because the value proposition there, and it wasn't, it wasn't shrieking, the sky is falling sort of stuff. It was just, hey, I mean, for the fees that they charge and for the value of those certificates will likely go down because the price of a property will go up even more. It's going to be hard to cover the annual fee of a $400 card in your wallet anymore, let alone a $100 fee. So I do think that there's a potential to see a shrinking of that Marriott credit card portfolio because there'll be a lot less reason to hold a Marriott credit card in your wallet.
Well, observing the group, the Marriott Bonvoy Insiders group on Facebook, monitoring that this week, it seems like this was kind of like the final straw for the ex-SPG guys that are in there, while the legacy Marriott guys, they could not have a window in your hotel room and give you bed bugs for breakfast, and they'll still love the chain. And the classic Marriott Rewards members are so loyal that it doesn't even matter. Do you think that they're banking on that, or are we going to see, because I mean, looking at the hotels.com thing, get every 10 nights free, it all of a sudden became really attractive in many cases here, right? I mean, especially if we have lifetime titanium status, who cares?
Yeah, you're right. But I think you also have to remember that customer behavior is a big driver here. And what I think Marriott's betting on, I'm not sure they're right, by the way, but I think what they're betting on is they spent years training their customers and their loyal customers to come to them to get their hotel rooms. And so for folks who are in that pattern, business travelers, people like that, especially the folks who have been Marriott Rewards members for a long time and have that Stockholm syndrome that you referred to, in those situations, they're expecting those people are going to continue to book directly with them. And so if they think what we'll see is, I think we'll see better promotions for booking directly with Marriott, higher bonus promos, free nights, stuff like that. But ultimately, I think what they're betting on is that they're going to be able to fill the books of most of these hotels off of loyal guests and infrequent guests who are trained to come to Marriott Rewards or Marriott the app or Marriott Bonvoy as the first place they look. And while some people like you and I who are always looking for the best deal will go elsewhere, we do represent a pretty small sliver of the overall folks. And I think that they're betting on the fact that most people won't change how they book their rooms, which, is directly through Marriott.
Yeah, no, I just, at the end of the day, what you have to realize when you start, what we're going to see for people who are wondering, we're going to see a system like Southwest, right? Or JetBlue for that matter. You're going to see that the hotel rooms are based, or the number of points that are required to redeem a night is going to be pretty much in line with what that room costs in dollars.
Cash price.
And that means that it'll be outrageous in many cases. We don't know how outrageous, but it doesn't. Southwest is kind of a you're bound into an airline. It's a little bit different than being bound into a hotel because you're standing in the middle of where you guys are. You're in the middle of DC. You got 150, 200 hotels to choose from. You don't have 150 to 200 airlines to choose from to go to Tulsa. And also booking a plane ticket versus booking a hotel room or a flexible hotel booking is easier to change than a flight. So it's really not comparable to hotel loyalty versus air loyalty or airline loyalty. I think we're going to see some big reactions. So I honestly also think that there's probably some pressure from the owners here because as we know, Marriott has how many hotels do they have? Ed, you remember we had that conversation? 18 that they own themselves.
Right, it's a very small number.
I remember we had the events. We had the Freddy's in 2012 up at the Renaissance Newark Airport, which is actually owned by the Marriott family. That's one of the 18. And no, I just, it feels to me like it's yeah. So Alexi just posted here, which is a good point. He booked Marriott for this weekend in New York, mostly because of the late checkout that's guaranteed, right? As an elite, that's a good point. I mean, you do get that at it's a great option if, but then again, so what do Hilton do? And they don't guarantee checkouts, but Hyatt does. So I feel like you've got options there too. But you also, if you want to buy something in the higher end, you just use Virtuoso or Fine Hotels and Resorts or any of those guys or Privé or whatever the case may be. And you don't have to have status to get those things. So, but of course, like Alexi says, exact same thing that you said. We're going to book it because they're banking on people to book it because of the benefits you get by booking directly from them.
Yeah, I think we'll know if it's not working by the. I think we'll know whether it's working or not working by the strength of the promotions that Marriott puts out in the market, because that'll be one of their primary levers. So if you see, a Marriott reincarnation of Hyatt's Faster Free Nights promo, you'll know that a bunch of people have jumped ship and are booking elsewhere or through other channels. And if you see lukewarm kind of crappy promotions, then they probably still have a bunch of people booking direct.
Right. Yeah, no, that's also going. I think that it's funny with American here that they're dipping their feet. They haven't really given us the news yet, so they have an out to make changes to things if their reactions are not the way that they would like to. And here too, they're letting the news go early. But I think that we all agree that if there's one takeaway from this, burn your points now because it ain't going to be any better. Unless you want to stay at the Fairfield Inn that costs $59, right?
Well, who wouldn't want to stay there on 25,000 points?
I don't know about Marshall or you, but I think I've got something like 150 or 200,000 Marriott points left from the SPG transition, and that's it. And I've had a handful of paid stays here and there, so I haven't been accruing Marriott points. I'm burning off the last of what was my SPG stash, and I don't know that I'll actively collect in any form or fashion Marriott points going forward.
What do you think, Marshall?
I've got 157,000 Marriott points left from back in the day. I'll spend them someday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, I really think Ed's exactly right. They're banking on who they've dealt with before. I work with a lot of people that have the Stockholm syndrome when it comes to Marriott, and a few of them have the same with Hilton at this point in life. I've always said for Marriott, you can always count on, whatever brand X, Courtyard has 300 count sheets, Ritz has 600 count sheets. I'm probably getting those numbers wrong, but they've always been pretty consistent, at least until the merger. And things kind of went sideways from there. Will they lose people? They'll lose a few people that really play the points game a lot. I don't know if they're going to lose tons of people. What Ed said, if you see some promos out there, they're pretty fancy, then you can guess that they have. I don't know. We'll see.
And at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to lose a ton. I really don't. I mean, I do think we represent a small sliver of what's out there. I think some people in our community like to think that we're a bigger influence than we really are. And at the end of the day, when I say I'm not going to recruit more Marriott points, it's not like I'm like, oh my God, the program's burning and all this stuff. I haven't been earning Marriott points aggressively since the SPG merger. It just, the program didn't interest me terribly. I held a couple of credit cards that were SPG cards from before, and I mostly held them because I got a free certificate every year that I could use that got me more value than the annual fee. Mm-hmm. I didn't put a lot of spending on those cards. I didn't do any of that because I was pissed at the brand or felt like, oh my God, I've been
never flying this airline again.
Yeah, no, it just wasn't a great value.
I don't think that anybody here has that approach to it, to be honest with you. But I completely agree. I mean, so what about the Ritz card? I mean, it's $450 a year, and I get $300 back from somebody with something. I have to. We're talking about the wife is in charge of that gig, but.
Well, you also get a certificate too, don't you? You get.
I do get you get up to 50,000 point certificate. So I feel like the value of that card is still there.
Could be. It just depends on it depends on what a Ritz is going to cost in April or January 23. Now, one of the things that Marriott did say that they'll do, which buys you a little bit of flexibility, is in the new version of the program, you can take that certificate and you combine it with up to 15,000 to book a room. So if a room is 60,000 points a night, you can use that 50,000 point certificate and 10,000 Marriott points to book it, or you can all the way up to 65,000. But I would argue that when the dust settles, there aren't going to be a whole lot of Ritzes around the world that you can book for less than 65,000 Marriott points a night.
No, and that's obviously the case still already now, but we don't know how that's going to play out, how those certificates are going to play out either, because if it's if it's going to be like the value of $1, so we're talking about that a room is $500, there are some good deals, but at the end of the day, we're just going to, they're like exactly like the American thing. They're waiting to see where things land, and multiple people have said it here. I mean, the Marriott thing is definitely a thing there. Paul has just said, I have tons of friends who think Marriott is the be all and all of hotel programs, which unfortunately but I think that they need to watch out, because there is the biggest amount of people who book hotel rooms are the ones who do not have status and who do not have a credit card. Those are the majority of the people who book hotel rooms today. And I think that, if they want to continue to build value in their loyalty program in the same fashion that Marriott Bonvoy and has a monetary value, just like Advantage has a monetary value, and Mileage Plus has we saw little, I can't believe how long it took for Hyatt to come out with a credit card, right? So it's really evolving. They're trying, they are anticipating to be more like airline loyalty programs, but I don't think that I think they need to watch out, because they're just the threshold is just you can't bind people in. Even if people are crazy loyal, they are set in their ways, meaning that, as an example, so SAS had their Eurobonus program, right? And the competition authorities in Norway and Sweden, when Norwegian started, SAS just blew a startup low-cost carrier called Color Air out of the water. A powerful company, because they exist today. They have the ferries that go between Norway and and the Continent are owned by them. So it's not a small. The guy who owns the company, he franchises all BK and all that stuff. So they had money, but we're out of business in months because of the loyalty program, the SAS. So loyalty programs became illegal, and at that point, SAS and everybody gained traction. Norwegian gained traction and got into the market because of that. And what we saw is how the market balanced its way out. And SAS came back then in 2007 or 8, I think it was, when it was legal, or 2009 when it was legal again to have loyalty programs, and they cut back immensely. And what they saw was that people had gotten a taste of other things, and the breakage was they actually went too far and had to walk back their program to what it was today, because people didn't understand it. They didn't understand the changes that were made. It was so difficult because they were used to the 25,000 rule that we have here. You don't mess with that. Regardless of what program it is, you will find a round trip ticket on any of the U.S. carrier for 25,000 round trip. I was just booking Melinda's dad a flight to come out here to California for Thanksgiving. 12,500 each way. It still exists on American. It still was available on United, and it's still there. But if you start messing too much with it, that these Marriott people, they're planning, okay, I spend this much money, I stay at this many hotels, and that's my trip to Hawaii. And I have the credit card here, and I get one night, and over here I have one. And then all of a sudden they're sitting there, sir, you have, I can't book my trip to Hawaii. Well, sir, you are missing like half of the points that you're needed. That can be a tough situation. And SAS, they made a big play on that, and it failed miserably. You guys obviously didn't follow that too closely because it's irrelevant for the market here. But they were the number one carrier, and they became number two after Norwegian in the market because of that. So I do think that these people who we're seeing here in the comment section who are commenting about this, I do think that yes, but I think that when you make things too complicated and you see the value is diminishing, I think it'll be there will be consequences for sure. Am I crazy?
You are crazy, but for all kinds of different reasons. But unfortunately, I got to jump, and I'm going to leave Marshall, unfortunately, to be the sole bearer of your aggression. Marshall, I apologize.
Yeah, we're going to go over to talk about airplanes now anyway. So thanks for coming by. Kisses to kids and everybody, and we'll start going. Wow, it's starting to get dark where you are, huh?
Yeah, I'm sitting out in the dark.
The patio light there, huh?
Yeah.
You don't have I've got more than enough light here to go around. So let's talk about the birthday boy today, the 787. 10 years this week from the first commercial flight launching. Wow.
How about that?
I would say that's
beautiful airplane.
Yeah, we're sounding like a couple of old farts. I can't believe it's been that long.
We kind of are.
There you have it. But wow, that's an airplane that changed the world.
Yeah.
Can we agree on that?
Doubt. Absolutely. The carbon fiber? I'm getting the materials wrong, but that was just a very innovative airplane, and I've yet to fly on one.
Wow, that's quite for somebody with your job. It's quite the addition of guilt. And in addition, you're a pilot. In
In a previous job, or I guess this current one, but in a more actively flying job, I actually booked myself on a connection versus a nonstop to fly on a 787. And when it came time to do so, I saw an upgrade opportunity on the nonstop, and I just said, to heck with that. I'll just sit on the 737 in first and go home.
And you call yourself an aviation enthusiast?
I'm actually a terrible person. I should have done that.
Oh, come on. No, but I remember. So we were there with the Megadu back in 2010, and we were the first group in the world to actually go inside the 787. Obviously you had a bunch of water barrels and electronics in the one that they had on Payne Field outside of Seattle. We flew from Houston to visit DUI Dougie in Phoenix first,
Easy.
and we had a great time there with our dear friend. Oh my goodness, what's his face? He works for Marriott now. Used to also work for Delta for a little bit of time. It passes. It's a long time ago, but and then we flew up and we landed at Everett, right? Not at Painfield. Yeah, at Painfield at Everett, and that was one hell of a trip. And we got to see inside of it and the cockpit and everything, which is the least quote unquote exciting part of it. I flew it for the first time in Japan way long before I came here. I flew it from Haneda to Hiroshima. Melinda and I booked, I think we did premium economy. We didn't do business or class J because I think it was like $500 or whatever. And they were so proud of that plane. So Japanese flight attendants are the nicest flight attendants in the world, and they were so giddy. It was like they made it themselves, right? And got all these gifts. I got them up there somewhere, and it was and it ultimately changed the way that you plan routes. And I saw that Chris Sloan, a friend of our common friend of both of us, had a really good article in CNN about it, and CNN.com. During the pandemic, it's been 90% of the flights on long haul has been done on the 787. Why? Because it uses so much less gas and it's so much cheaper to operate.
It's got the legs.
And it definitely has the legs. Not that we need so many legs right now, but during the COVID. But
True.
Right. So I flew, and it obviously costs more money to purchase it. The capital cost is much greater. But at the end of the day, it's all the flights I had across the Atlantic. Let me think. Yeah, it was either on the 350 or a 787 throughout the last year and a half. Lufthansa's 350 or a KLM 7 and Air France 787. That's
another beautiful airplane.
Capable stuff. So we have a couple of minutes left, 5 minutes left. What have you observed in the last week, minus the debacle we've already covered?
Well, that's the biggest thing I've observed. I was driving, as you know, I was driving from Dayton when all this dropped, the Marriott and the American Airlines changes. And I saw that there was going to be news from American, but I don't know that I expected quite what we got. That was something unusual. And as I had said earlier, it is at least something different. It recognizes that there is more to revenue than butts and seats. We'll see how it works out. I'm not sure I expected what we got.
I honestly don't think it's that dramatic. I mean, I think that for what it's worth, if you're only flying and you don't use a credit card, it'll be a little bit tougher to get to the top. But if you do spend your way to the top, you are a much more valuable customer because all the upgrades, how many system-wides you get is based how much you are actually flying and how much money you've spent on American. So even if you're like Ed, who's a Texas oil millionaire, and he puts $200,000 on a credit card, and he's for his company, he buys 2 gazillion cheeseburger on an American Airlines card. First of all, he's a schmo because he could have earned so much more on a different credit card. And the second thing is that at the end of the day, when you spend your way to the top, you end far, far down. And I've noticed that on American already because I got the status from Hyatt. Right. They matched it over to me or gave it to me. And because of the pandemic, it's kept renewing. And I'm like last on the list every time of the EPs because of that. So because I haven't spent any money. So that's going to be that. But let's talk a little bit about at the end of it. So talking about the best piece of what's happening. What about the Airbus, the first Breeze Air Airbus 220?
Fancy airplane. Looks beautiful.
Yeah, and I was looking at their route network. Right?
Yeah. I haven't seen the route network for at least the plane.
Yeah, let me refresh your I took a screenshot of that here earlier and posted it up, and people found that funny. because we're talking some serious destination here. Let's see. So that's route map. Here we go. Let's see. Let's put it up on the big screen here. Nonstop flights in the USA. All right. How do I do that here? Because I'm sitting outside, so I have my laptop now. Because I finally got my laptop from Apple. They decided to not have laptops that supported 2 screens for a while. And
yeah, well, I'm excited about those changes too, but we'll talk
tell
about
me
that
about
some
it.
other
So
time.
let's see here okay, so here we go. Let me try and because I usually have 2 massive screens that are outside here, but let me share the network. Let's see here. Privacy. I can't share it right now, but let me read them to you. How about that? So people can get really excited about it. It is Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, Bentonville, Fayetteville. It looks like it's some state in the middle that we have no idea where that is. Where is that? Does it ring a bell? Arkansas. There you go. San Antonio,
Walmart.
Texas, which is a cool destination. You can fly between Tulsa and Oklahoma, and San Antonio. Then you got New Orleans. You got Huntsville, Alabama, Louisville, Kentucky, Columbus, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, Tampa, Florida, Charleston. Is that North or South Carolina? It's South Carolina, right? And then we got Norfolk, Richmond.
It's got to be. It's got to be South Carolina.
Right. Norfolk, Richmond, Pittsburgh, and Hartford and Providence. Those are the destinations that they have picked to fly an airplane with more premium seats on board than any U.S. Carrier in that category.
Charleston may do okay.
Charleston goes, the routes from Charleston is the following: Tampa, Louisville, Huntsville, Columbus, Pittsburgh, and Akron. And Richmond. Those are the ones from Charleston.
I could see that being very exciting. Absolutely.
Can you feel the excitement? Do you feel it yourself? Do you feel it?
I absolutely do.
So Charles Kuntz, he was on there. He said he gives them 2 years. How long do you give him?
About the same.
2 years?
Yeah, I shouldn't make predictions like that, but I will.
You're going to make 2 years? You think Neeleman is going to fail for the first time in his life?
He can raise enough money to do that, I'm sure.
Well, he already did. I mean, gosh, how much money he raised. I think that public offering was like, boom, full house.
We'll see. I can't make predictions. I can't make predictions about airline.
Hey, if he were to fly into Sacramento, I would be jumping on it like nobody's business.
Oh, sure.
But obviously, he decided to go a different route of where he wants to operate. But the 220 is the Bombardier C Series, fantastic airplane.
And speaking of legs, that airplane's got some good legs for some semi-transcontinental flying too.
It sure does. I mean, the longer version of that plane can do transcon standing on its head.
Yep, absolutely.
And
so I could see them getting into that.
Think about it: 2+2 for almost half the plane, and then for the rest of it is 2+3. That is one hell of a comfortable way to travel. I mean, the number of middle seat on that plane is virtually nothing.
That's pretty sweet. I hope they can charge enough to make that profitable. We'll see.
Yeah, I hope that he comes up with some more compelling routes. I wish him the very best. I think he's a hell of a guy, and he's one hell of a smart guy too. He's been making money where other people cannot. So
there may be something there that I don't see, but
I agree with you. If it was anybody else, I wouldn't even give it 2 years. But it's not like this guy hasn't been successful in the past.
That's true. Absolutely.
All right. And on that note, with broken noses at American and new loyalty program from American to Marriott going revenue-based on their redemptions. What else do we have to talk about? I think we should start cooking. Well, you should start cooking dinner for your wife, and I should do something else. You work for a couple more hours, but thanks for joining again, Marshall.
You bet, buddy. Talk to you.
Cheers. All right. So that was the Miles and Points report this time around. And let me turn away from that sun so we don't have it right in the face. Thanks so much for joining again this week. It was good to see you again. Sorry about being off last week. It was a big call and a big thing happening here, so that I couldn't get away from. But I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and we'll see what we've learned from all these new changes. Have a good night, everybody.